The Zephyrian battlecruiser, Eternal Dominion, hung in the void above Earth like a silver dagger pointed at humanity's heart. Commander Vexlar studied the blue-green world through his ship's viewports, his four arms crossed behind his back. The Galactic Council had deemed humanity too dangerous to exist freely in the galaxy. Too unpredictable, too violent. The decision had been unanimous: subjugate or eliminate. "Sir, our scans show minimal military presence," his tactical officer reported. "Their fleet consists of outdated vessels, nothing that poses a threat to our shields." Vexlar's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. As expected, begin the broadcast. The message went out across all human channels. "People of Earth, you have 24 of your hours to surrender unconditionally to the Galactic Council. Resistance will result in complete planetary devastation." What the Zephyrians didn't know was that their scans had missed something crucial. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially didn't exist, alarms were sounding. General Marcus Chun stood before a wall of monitors, each showing different Zephyrian positions. At 78 years old, he should have been enjoying retirement. Instead, he was about to coordinate humanity's most desperate gamble. "Wake them up," he ordered. Throughout hidden bunkers across Earth, cryogenic pods began their defrosting sequences. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They were veterans of wars that modern humans barely remembered, men and women who had fought in conflicts so brutal that humanity had collectively agreed to forget them. The eugenics wars, the resource conflicts, the AI uprising. Each veteran had volunteered for extended cryosleep, to be awakened only if humanity faced extinction. Sarah Mitchell gasped as consciousness returned. The last thing she remembered was signing the papers in 2089 after the Pacific Theater had finally gone quiet. Now, according to the display on her pod, it was 2157. She flexed her fingers, feeling the familiar tingle of her neural implants coming online. Around her, other pods were opening. "Welcome back, Sergeant Mitchell," a young technician said, helping her sit up. "I'm afraid we need you combat ready in 6 hours." Sarah's laugh was rusty from disuse. "Kid, I was born combat ready. What's the situation?" As the technician explained, Sarah felt the old fire returning. Aliens. An invasion force. Humanity with its back against the wall. Just like Jakarta all over again, except this time the enemy came from the stars. In orbit, Vexlar grew impatient. No response from Earth's governments. No signs of mobilization. Just silence. "Perhaps they're more cowardly than our intelligence suggested," his second-in-command mused. "Or more foolish," Vexlar replied. "Prepare the ground forces. We'll take their major cities first, make examples of them." The first Zephyrian dropships descended toward New York City, their sleek forms cutting through the atmosphere like falling stars. Each carried 100 warriors in powered armor, equipped with plasma weapons that could melt through any Earth-made material. They expected token resistance at best, some local police, perhaps a few military units with projectile weapons. What they got was James Reaper Rodriguez. The 92-year-old veteran stood on a rooftop, his exoskeleton compensating for his age-weakened muscles. His rifle, a relic from the Gene Wars, didn't look like much. The Zephyrians' tactical computers dismissed it as a primitive chemical-propelled weapon, not worth noting. They were wrong. The rifle fired depleted uranium rounds with a tungsten core, designed to punch through the bioarmor of genetically enhanced super soldiers. When Rodriguez squeezed the trigger, the first round went through 3 Zephyrian warriors before embedding itself in a dropship's hull. "Contact!" the Zephyrian squad leader screamed, but Rodriguez was already moving. Decades of muscle memory guided him as he relocated, the exoskeleton turning his aged body into a weapon once more. His neural implants, outdated by modern standards but deadly effective, calculated firing solutions faster than any Zephyrian combat computer. Across the city, similar scenes played out. Mary Chun, the ghost of Shanghai, used her optical camouflage to appear behind enemy lines. At 85, she moved like smoke, her monomolecular blade cutting through alien armor like paper. Thomas Washington, who had earned 37 confirmed kills in the African resource wars, turned Wall Street into a shooting gallery. The Zephyrians retreated in chaos, their disciplined formations breaking apart. They had expected to fight soft, comfortable humans who had known peace for too long. Instead, they faced warriors who had survived humanity's darkest chapters. Impossible. Vexlar roared as casualty reports flooded in. Their technology is primitive. Their bodies are failing from age. How are they doing this? His science officer pulled up the tactical data, confusion evident in all four of his eyes. Sir, their equipment appears to be designed for fighting other humans, but modified for maximum lethality. Their tactics are brutal, without honor or hesitation. They're not fighting to win, they're fighting to kill. In London, retired RAF pilot William Hartford climbed into the cockpit of his antique fighter jet. The museum had kept it in working condition, never imagining it would fly again. The jet's systems were laughably obsolete by Galactic Council standards. No shields, no energy weapons, just good old-fashioned missiles and cannons. But William had flown against the AI drones in 2095, when machines had tried to exterminate humanity. He knew how to fight enemies with superior technology. As Zephyrian fighters swooped over the Thames, he took to the skies. The aliens' combat computers couldn't lock onto his aircraft. It was too primitive, flying too erratically. William laughed as he weaved between plasma bolts, the G-forces that would have killed a younger pilot barely registering thanks to his enhanced cardiovascular system. When he fired his missiles, they were simple heat seekers, but the Zephyrians had never faced weapons designed to home in on engine signatures rather than energy shields. Two alien fighters exploded before they realized the threat. By then, William was already breaking away, performing maneuvers that the Zephyrian pilots' training had never covered. They were used to civilized space combat, with its rules and predictable patterns. This human flew like he was insane. In Moscow, Beijing, Sydney, and dozens of other cities, the pattern repeated. Ancient soldiers with obsolete weapons tore through advanced alien forces. Every Zephyrian warrior was worth 10 humans in a straight fight, but these humans didn't fight straight. They used ambushes, traps, psychological warfare. They turned cities into meat grinders. The Galactic Council had studied humanity's recent history, their tentative steps into space, the united world government, their embrace of peace and cooperation. What they hadn't studied were the old wars, the brutal conflicts that had shaped these warriors. They hadn't understood that humanity's greatest monsters had volunteered to sleep, waiting for the day when monsters would be needed again. Back in his command bunker, General Chen watched the tactical displays with grim satisfaction. The first phase was working better than expected. The Zephyrians were pulling back, regrouping in orbit. They would adapt, of course. They would develop new tactics, bring heavier weapons. But they had lost the element of surprise, and, more importantly, they had lost the psychological advantage. Phase 2, his aide asked. Chen nodded. Wake the rest of them, and contact the Mars colonies, tell them to unseal the vaults. If the Zephyrians thought Earth's old soldiers were bad, wait until they met the ones humanity had exiled for being too dangerous. The real war was about to begin. The Mars penal colony Sigma 7 had been sealed for 32 years. As the massive vault doors groaned open, the guards stepped back nervously. These weren't ordinary prisoners. They were the veterans deemed too dangerous for Earth, soldiers who had crossed lines that even wartime couldn't excuse. Colonel Elena Volkov stepped into the harsh Martian sunlight, her scarred face impassive. Behind her, 300 of humanity's most lethal killers emerged from the depths. The Butcher of Berlin, the Siberian Wendigo, names that parents had used to frighten children into obedience. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mars administrator said, his voice shaking slightly, Earth needs you. Full pardons for anyone who fights. The alternative is extinction. Volkov's smile was sharp as broken glass. Finally, a war worth fighting. Above Earth, Commander Vexlar convened an emergency meeting with his staff. The holographic displays showed the humiliating defeat of their ground forces. Casualties were at 30%. Unheard of for a Galactic Council peacekeeping operation. They fight without honor. One officer spat, nursing wounds from a human ambush. No declarations, no challenges. They strike from shadows like cowards. No, Vexlar corrected, studying the footage of human warriors in action. They fight to win. We underestimated them. He turned to his intelligence officer. What do we know about these elderly warriors? The officer pulled up fragmentary data. Very little, sir. Earth's records from that period are heavily classified or destroyed. But what we found suggests a century of brutal conflicts. Nuclear weapons, biological warfare, genetic manipulation. They use it all against each other. Savages, someone muttered. Survivors, Vexlar corrected again. And we've awakened them. Send word to the Council. We need reinforcements. And authorization for orbital bombardment. But humanity wasn't waiting for the aliens' next move. In a hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Alan Torres was bringing